Well, I'm sitting out here contemplating. That's what I'm doing. I'm thinking about calling this cat. I'm going to spell the word Fluffy. Because watch what happens when I say that. Fluffy. 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 Is that your name? Fluffy. Not every time, obviously, not this time, but she was laying over there and I said that. I said, Fluffy. And she snapped her head around. And this is not the first time. Actually, it was my wife that said that this cat was at the door. And my wife said, we were just, yelling out names that she might be, Flacco, Fluffy. And when my wife said Fluffy, she stopped and turned around and looked at my wife. And several times since then, I've said Fluffy. And she looks at me like, do you know me? Or she looks at me as though she recognizes that name. So I think I'm going to change her name from Shop Cat to Fluffy. Yes, a 300-pound, 6-foot guy with a cat named Fluffy. Nobody will know. They'll know. No one will ever know. Fluffy. 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 See? I think Fluffy's her name. So, all right, Fluffy it is. From now on, your new name is Fluffy. Or I think it's your old name. This cat is so used to being petted and pampered and loved on that I can't help but think she came from a home where somebody loved her. I mean, she had been fixed, and she's very used to laying around and being comfortable and sleeping on me and stuff like that and playing. So I think she got a lot of attention where she was, and I suspect she either got out accidentally, or I've seen this before. People move out and they leave their cat, or someone dies and the heirs kick the cat out because they don't want the problem. Anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm going to talk about my motorcycle because y'all have seen me go through a bunch of motorcycles. And I'm going to explain my thinking. Initially, my wife wanted a motorcycle. I did not want a motorcycle because I know how much of your life you invest in a motorcycle, and I wanted to invest my life in knife making. So she kept saying she wanted a bike, and I kept saying I don't want a bike. So she said, well, I'm going to get one anyway. So, okay, I was 100% behind her. We went over to the Honda dealer, and we went to a couple, actually. Well, I'll tell you the whole story. We went over to the Honda dealer in Shreveport, and I'm going to use frank language. They were assholes, really assholes. Arrogant. They wouldn't answer, legitimate questions about the motorcycle. I think because they didn't know, they had ill-informed. Well, we only spoke to one salesman, and he wasn't willing to go find out answers for the motorcycle she was interested in. And then he tried the, you better get this, it's the only one in existence. Nobody else has these. They're such a popular bike. And that was the Fury, the first one. Or it might have been the State Line, I can't remember. Well, she bought it. I drove it home for her because it had been a while since she rode a motorcycle, and she wanted to be in the comfort of, this locale when she got used to riding again. And she rode it around, and within a week, she decided that she didn't like it. Her arms weren't long enough. It just wasn't a comfortable bike. So I actually think that was the State Line that we bought first. So she gave me the bike. Me not wanting a bike, she gave me the bike, and she went back and she bought the Fury, the Honda Fury. Actually, let me back up. We didn't buy the State Line there at the Honda dealer in Shreveport. We went to a Honda dealer over in Marshall, Texas, and they were much nicer. There's a kid named Joseph, and call him Joseph, not Joe, because he'll correct you. And nice kid. We bought the bike from him. They were quick with the paperwork, and I drove it home, and she, within a week or two, she didn't like it, so she gave it to me. Still, me not wanting a motorcycle, and me especially not wanting a bike that small for me. I'm a huge guy, and I know how I look on little bikes. Somebody would I saw a funny meme. It was a big fat guy on a motorcycle, and the caption was "Tons of Anarchy," and I was thinking, yeah, they wouldn't say that if they knew he was a Gravy SEAL, Meal Team 6. Gravy SEAL, Meal Team 6. Oh, come on, that was funny. So anyway, I didn't want a smallish bike like that, but I rode it around to make my wife happy. She wanted to ride, and I didn't have the bug yet. So she got the Fury, and I had to make all kinds of alterations to her bike for a shorter person, and then to my bike for a big person with long legs. And y'all know I had to alter the seat because it hit me right in the middle of my broken tailbone. And I finally got the bike semi-comfortable. And my wife and I and my friend Rob, just plain common sense, actually, my wife and I tried it by ourselves to ride to Texarkana. It's 80 freaking miles, you know? We couldn't make it all the way to Texarkana. We had to turn around and come back. That's how uncomfortable the bikes were. And we rode them around, and finally, Rob, just plain common sense, my friend over in Bossier, rode over, and all three of us rode up to Texarkana. We got a Coke at the Sonic and turned around and rode back. And we made it that far. So by the time we rode back, it was, a round trip, about 150, 160 miles. And God, I thought we were going to die. Them were truly some absolutely uncomfortable bikes for old folks. They may have been comfortable for young folks. So we went back over there, and they had, I forget the name, Raider, a Yamaha Raider. And I tried to convince my wife it was junk, absolute junk. You could see it had been stored outside. The forks were corroded. The ignition switches were, it had been rained on and sun fade. And there was terrible wiring sticking out everywhere. She bought it anyway, brought it home, and right away I had to start working on the thing. I had to clean up all the bad wiring, and it never ran right. And after all kinds of trial and error with the aftermarket fuel map computer, I forget the name of it, Dennis Kirk, I think it was. I'm not sure. Anyway, it wasn't the fuel map. It was this fuel pump canister, which was $500 freaking dollars, and a pain in the neck to get to, deep underneath the seat. And I replaced that, and it started running good. And tires, we had to put tires on it, we had to put valve stems on. I mean, it was just a piece of junk. So by that time, I was riding the bike she didn't like. Can't remember if it was a Fury or the State Line. I didn't like either one. Both of them hurt. And she was driving that Raider, and still not comfortable. Way too tall off the ground for her. And we went back. She was looking on their website, and they had these two Harleys that we found. And we went over there. They weren't even cleaned up and ready to be sold yet. They were over in their mechanics shop where they go through them and, make sure they're mechanically sound. And when we found out how many miles they had on them, my wife's 05 Heritage Softdale had 2,000 miles on it when we bought it, and my Road King had, I think, 6,000 or 5,500. It's just too good to believe. So anyway, I sat on the Road King, she sat on the Softail, and they fit us perfectly. We bought them. And right away, we started having a blast, and I got the bug bike. I started loving motorcycles again. But I knew I was not going to be happy until I found an Ultra. My bike that I had in 06, the one I loved the most, was an Ultra Classic. I loved that bike. And she loved her Roadliner. It was big, it was low, it was powerful, and it was loud. And we had a blast. So here we are. We're back into motorcycles, which I was trying to avoid because I know how expensive they are and how you, on our limited income, we had to eliminate a bunch of other things, interests and hobbies and things we like to do in order to afford these motorcycles. And I'm happy we did, because I'm back to being happy with having a motorcycle. She's deliriously happy, and we both are of the mindset now that God only knows how many more heartbeats we have left, and to not do things that you love doing for the rest of your life, waiting for the Creator to come take us. It's just ridiculous. I am firmly of the belief that God wants us to enjoy this life and love people and be happy and share kindness. And I think motorcycles help us do that. We intend to take part in charity rides, and already we've joined the Patriot Guard Riders. I used to be a member years ago and went to a lot of soldiers' funerals and stood on flag lines. And we've rejoined the Patriot Guard. And so, we plan on incorporating a lot of, I guess you would say, charitable acts into our enjoyment of motorcycles. So here we are with my new motorcycle. I've been wanting an Ultra ever since the motorcycle bug bit me again. I am a big fat guy, and I look ridiculous on anything small. And my wife wanted me to take she's been wanting to take a picture of me on my bike. I don't want a picture of me on my bike. I know what I look like. And I don't want people making jokes like tons of anarchy or a meal team 6. So, and I'm on a diet. I'm slowly shedding a pound here or there. Now that the holidays are over and people aren't feeding me, I'm back on my diet. And anyway, this motorcycle is massive. It's over 8 foot long. It's just a big bike. And I know I look less silly on this bike than I do on other bikes that I've had. So that's where I'm at. I'm not crazy. We have gone through a bunch of bikes. I did spend a little money on that Road King, and I'm not going to talk figures, but I'm very happy with what I got for that Road King trade-in value. And you would not believe how little I paid for this Ultra, or else I wouldn't even have bought it. I only went over there for a spring for Charlie's bike. Now, I had seen this bike on their website, and I had been drooling over it, but it was $12,000 more than I could ever afford to pay. And then they dropped $2,000 off it. And then they dropped another $10,000 off it. That very morning, when I went over there to get that spring, they had just dropped $10,000 off the price. And I could not say no. So anyway, here I am with the bike of my dreams. And this bikes are going to be part of our life until we die, or until we can't hold them up. And my wife has already said that when she gets to the point where she can't hold it up, she's just going to go to a trike, because she loves riding and I love riding. So there you are with the bikes. I thought I'd share that. I'm not going to make a big deal about the bikes, because it's just part of our life. This is still the main part of my life is knife making, and I may get to a sheath for that today, and if nobody wants it, I'm probably just going to make a Kydex sheath, which brings me to this point also. PayPal is going to have to report to the IRS any transactions beyond $600. So I'm going to have to, not that I haven't, let's just say hypothetically that the few dollars I have earned from knife making, which weren't immediately washed away by receipts for sandpaper and, the cost of running the shop, let's just say they may have been omitted from my income. And believe me, it wasn't that much. But, if it's $2, the IRS wants their $2. So now there's no avoiding including this income on my tax return. And I can more than wash it away with receipts, but still I have to complicate my taxes with my knife making income. So if you pay me through PayPal, If you would pay me through the friends and family portion of PayPal, they offer you a choice. That way, PayPal doesn't take 4 or 5% of it. And on top of it, I'm already paying $10 to $14 to ship these knives. So when you count the $10 to $14 for shipping, and then the 4 or 5% that PayPal takes, and then paying taxes on what little profit I have made beyond the cost of making them, it's barely worth selling them. So I'm going to ask you if you buy a knife from me to pay through the friends and family. That way PayPal doesn't get their cut. I know it, I use them a lot of other things, and they get their cut when I spend money, and if I leave the money on my PayPal, they get to earn interest on it while it's there. So I'm not worried about PayPal's service. They get plenty of money. So there you have it. I'm going to get to sanding on this handle here, and probably not a whole lot of work on that today, just because I'm trying to limit my sanding. So here we go. Okay, Fluffy. Fluffy. Hey, Fluffy. Fluffy. Maybe not. Have you made it this far? That was a whole lot of talking you had to sit through. All right, I've had this knife sanded up to 180, and good start. I like the shape. So far, I'm happy with it. I am going to have, I had some glue, epoxy ooze out way up here. And I'm going to have to take a Q-tip and really go to work on scrubbing that out of there, and then rebuff it, because it uglied it up a little bit. All right, next grit. All right, I got her sanded up to 800. I have not buffed it yet. I got to rebuff the blade, buff the brass, and then put some wax on the handle, and it will be ready for a sheath. I'm gonna finish my coffee and then head to the freezing cold buffing room. It looks beautiful out, but it's less than 30. It's just unbelievable cold, unbelievable. I freaking hate cold so bad you wouldn't believe it. Good coffee. All right, let's go buff. All right. I like it. Tomorrow I will make sheaths for this one. And that one. So I'm asking $185 for this. If you would, I've got two people that I need to offer this to first. Lee French and Patrick begins with a Z. So I'm going to offer it to those two first, and if neither of them want it, then it will be for sale for $185. I still have to make a sheath, and if you want this, let me know early in the morning before I get to making sheaths tomorrow. And if you want a leather hip sheath, belt sheath, or a neck knife sheath. It's, I forgot what I said. This is Desert Ironwood, and it's my first Coke bottle design handle. Not my design, by the way. There's a guy named Jack Lohr Knives. He's an English-British guy. And I don't know if he's the one that started the Coke bottle handle design, but he's the one that I follow and does it to all of his knives, and I like it. It looks like it would, when you're using a knife, it would really fit your hand good. Okay. I don't have edges on either of these, and I don't do that until I'm ready to ship them. So, let's let's just say, I think I said 110. I might have said 105 in Kydex and 125 in a belt sheath. Okay. Boy, that's my second hidden tang. I'm happy. And I'll tell you, I didn't spend as much time sanding it as I usually do, so it's not like absolutely mirror. I mean, you can still see a little bit of scratching in there, but way shinier than I thought it would come with. I only brought it up to 600. So, okay. See you tomorrow. Thanks for watching, y'all. I do feel a little bit guilty that I didn't make any effort to try and find the home she belonged to. Once I found out that she had already been fixed, obviously somebody at one time, owned her. She wasn't a completely stray cat, and somebody cared enough about her to get her fixed. But she was so terribly skinny and beat up, it looked to me like she had been astray for a very, very long time. So I didn't even think to, put on Facebook or try to find her home. And now I love the cat, so I don't even want to think about getting rid of her. Who couldn't love that little face? Huh? Who couldn't love that little face? Okay. I sanded a little bit. I'm going to get back to sanding. I'll have that sand up and buffed here in a few minutes.